Hi, horse friends. So, how long does a horse need to recover after shipping? According to a new study, the answer may be much longer than most horse owners realize. Researchers found that even healthy horses can continue experiencing measurable physiological stress for up to 48 hours after a moderate trail ride, even if they appear completely normal after unloading. If you've ever hauled your horse to a competition, veterinary appointment, clinic, trail ride, or a new boarding facility, you've probably wondered whether your horse was truly ready to work shortly after arriving. Most of us look for obvious signs that our horse handled the trip well. If they are eating, drinking, walking normally, and seem bright and alert, we usually assume they've recovered from the journey. However, this new research suggests that appearances may not tell the whole story. Today, we're going to answer one of the most common questions horse owners ask. How long does a horse need to recover after shipping or trailering? We'll discuss what scientists discovered, why transportation places significant stress on a horse's body, what oxidative stress actually means, and what practical steps you can take to help your horse recover safely after trailering. As always, we are not veterinarians, and this video is intended for educational purposes only. If your horse becomes ill after transportation or shows signs of distress, always contact your veterinarian. So let's get started. Transportation has become an essential part of modern horse ownership. Whether you compete regularly or simply haul your horse a few times each year, traveling by trailer is something most horse owners experience throughout their lives. While we often think of hauling as routine, transportation is actually one of the most physically and mentally demanding activities many horses experience. Unlike people sitting comfortably in a vehicle, horses spend the entire trip standing. Every acceleration, every stop, every turn, every pothole, and every change in road surface requires continuous muscular effort to maintain balance. Although the horse may appear to be standing still, the muscles throughout the body are constantly making thousands of small adjustments to prevent the horse from losing its footing. By the time the trailer reaches its destination, those muscles have been working continuously for hours. Transportation also challenges horses mentally. Many horses are leaving familiar surroundings, separated from herd mates, and entering an unfamiliar environment filled with new sounds, vibrations, temperatures, and smells. Some horses travel quietly and confidently, while others become anxious, sweat heavily, paw, scramble, or refuse to eat and drink. Even horses that appear calm on the outside may still be experiencing significant physiological stress on the inside. This is exactly what researchers wanted to investigate. For years, veterinarians have known that long-distance transportation can contribute to dehydration, fatigue, immune suppression, respiratory disease, and a condition commonly known as shipping fever. However, much of the existing research has focused on horses traveling extremely long distances. Very little research has examined how long a horse's body actually needs to recover after the type of moderate trailer rides that many horses make every weekend. To answer that question, researchers conducted a study involving 11 healthy quarter horses. Each horse completed 2 separate transportation events. One trip covered approximately 50 kilometers, or about 31 miles, while the second trip covered approximately 300 kilometers, or roughly 186 miles. Blood samples were also collected before transportation, immediately after unloaded, and repeatedly during the following 6 days, so researchers could monitor how the horses recovered over time. Instead of focusing only on visible signs of stress, the researchers measured biomarkers associated with oxidative stress. This may sound like a complicated scientific term, but the basic concept is actually fairly easy to understand. Every cell in your horse's body uses oxygen to produce energy. During this completely normal process, unstable molecules called reactive oxygen species are naturally formed. Under normal conditions, the body has powerful antioxidant systems that neutralize these molecules before they can damage healthy cells. You can think of antioxidants as the body's cleanup crew. Their job is to keep potentially harmful molecules under control so that normal cellular function can continue. However, when the body produces more reactive oxygen species than the antioxidant system can handle, oxidative stress develops. Oxidative stress has been linked to inflammation, muscle fatigue, delayed recovery, reduced athletic performance, and damage to cells throughout the body. It doesn't necessarily mean a horse is sick, but it does indicate that the body is working harder to restore normal balance. So, what did the researchers actually find? The shorter 31-mile trailer ride produced only small and inconsistent changes in the horse's oxidative stress. That finding suggests that many healthy horses recover relatively quickly after shorter trips. The 186-mile journey produced a very different result. Researchers observed a significant decrease in the activity of an important oxidative enzyme known as superoxide dismutase, or SOD. This enzyme plays a critical role in protecting cells from oxidative damage. When its activity decreases, the body's ability to defend itself against oxidative stress is temporarily reduced. At the same time, the researchers measured significantly higher levels of malondialide, sorry for my pronunciation, often abbreviated as MDA. This substance is commonly used as a marker of oxidative damage because it increases when cell membranes are exposed to excessive oxidative stress. Taken together, these findings showed that transportation created measurable physiological stress inside the horses' bodies. Perhaps the most important discovery wasn't simply that these changes occurred. It was how long they lasted. The oxidative stress markers remained altered for approximately 48 hours after the 300-kilometer trip. Think about that for a moment. 2 days after stepping off the trailer, these horses were still showing measurable evidence that their bodies were recovering. That doesn't mean the horses looked sick. In fact, many of them likely appeared completely normal. They may have been eating normally, drinking normally, walking soundly, and behaving exactly the way their owners expected. But internally, their bodies were still restoring normal physiological balance. This finding highlights an important lesson for horse owners. Just because your horse looks recovered doesn't necessarily mean your horse has fully recovered. This may help explain why experienced trainers often schedule lighter work after transportation, instead of asking horses to perform at their maximum level immediately after arriving. It may also explain why riders competing at the highest levels of equestrian sport often arrive several days before major championships. Whether it's dressage, eventing, show jumping, racing, or endurance, elite competitors understand that travel itself is physically demanding. Giving horses additional time allows them to rehydrate, adjust to their surroundings, recover from transportation, and mentally settle into a new environment before they're asked to compete. Of course, not every horse owner has the luxury of arriving 2 days early. Most of us haul to a weekend horse show, unload, tech up, and ride. This study doesn't necessarily suggest that every horse should receive 2 full days off after every trailer ride. Instead, it reminds us that recovery should be considered just as carefully as the trip itself. Every horse responds differently to transportation. Age can make a difference, fitness level can make a difference, trailer experience can make a difference. Environmental temperature, humidity, trailer ventilation, road conditions, and even driving style can all influence how stressful transportation becomes. Some horses seem to step off the trailer as if nothing happened. Others need much more time to recover. That's why it's so important to know your own horse rather than assuming every horse responds the same way. So, what can you do to help your horse recover after shipping? One of the most important factors is hydration. Transportation can reduce water intake, particularly if horses are nervous or unfamiliar with the water source at their destination. Even mild dehydration can contribute to fatigue and slow recovery. Encouraging your horse to drink before departure and after arrival can make a meaningful difference. Some owners even bring water from home because certain horses are reluctant to drink unfamiliar water. Providing access to forage during transportation when appropriate and safe may also encourage more natural behavior and support digestive health. After arriving, it can be helpful to give your horse time to relax before immediately asking for strenuous exercise. Light walking or turnout, when appropriate for the individual horse, may help reduce stiffness while allowing the horse to mentally decompress from the trip. Horse owners should also continue monitoring their horses for several days after transportation. Checking your horse's temperature, monitoring appetite, observing manure production, and watching for coughing, nasal discharge, depression, or changes in breathing can help identify problems before they become more serious. This is particularly important because transportation-related illnesses, such as shipping fever, don't always appear immediately. In some cases, clinical signs may not develop until a day or two after the journey. Another factor that often gets overlooked is the driver's role in the horse's comfort. Smooth acceleration, gradual braking, careful cornering, and maintaining appropriate speeds all reduce the amount of muscular effort required for the horse to stay balanced. Good driving habits don't just make the trip more pleasant. They may actually reduce physical stress on the horse throughout the journey. Like any scientific study, this research also has limitations. Only 11 horses participated in the project, and all of them were quarter horses. The researchers examined only 2 travel distances, so additional research involving larger number of horses, different breeds, different climates, and longer transportation times will be important for confirming these findings. Even so, the results add another important piece to our understanding of equine transportation. For many years, horse owners have judged recovery by what they could see. If your horse looked bright, they assumed the horse had recovered. This study reminds us that recovery is often happening beneath the surface. The body continues repairing muscle tissue, restoring antioxidant defenses, rebalancing metabolism, and adapting to the stress of transportation long after the trailer has stopped moving. The biggest takeaway from the study isn't that transportation is dangerous. It's that transportation deserves respect. Every trailer ride places demands on your horse's body, even when those demands aren't immediately obvious. Giving your horse time to rest, monitoring them carefully after travel, encouraging hydration, and recognizing that recovery continues after unloading are all simple management practices that may improve both health and performance. As research continues, scientists will undoubtedly learn even more about how transportation affects horses. Future studies may help determine whether nutrition, conditioning programs, antioxidant supplementation, trailer design, or other management practices can further improve recovery after shipping. Until then, this new research offers a valuable reminder that recovery doesn't always end when the trailer door opens. Sometimes the journey is over, but your horse's body is still working harder behind the scenes. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely, you can hear me breathing.